Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So before I start this video, I want to announce to everyone that I have a membership option here on YouTube. If you become a member today, you will have early access to detailed videos and sometimes videos that are not accessible to everyone. So this option has 3 levels. Level 1 is $99 a month. I have level 2 and level 3. You will see these options and perks when you click on the join button. So please join today and support my channel. So where do we find this join button? The join button is below the video in the same section where you will see the subscribe button. Thank you so much for your support and join my channel membership today. Thank you. Let's get into the video. So I have here 12 pearls. This is a plastic pearl beads, 12 millimeter. I have my 50-pound beading wire and I have my plier over here too to cut any loose thread. So I'm starting with 4/4 beading. Let me push this bead to the side so we have a clear table to work with. So I'm starting with 4/4 beading. This is 4 bead on the line and I'm going to cross the other end into the 4th bead. And I'm holding both ends together before I pull it down, like this. This is how the first box is looking like. So we are going to continue to repeat the same thing. I have one bead on each line and I'm going to cross both ends of the line into the 3rd bead. And pull it down. I'm going to continue to repeat the same. This is how it's looking like. This is a set of 2 boxes. We are done with 2 boxes. So I'm going to repeat the same thing again. One bead on each line and I'm going to cross both ends of my line into the 3rd bead. And pull it down. You're done with 3 boxes. And this is how it's looking like. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing again over here. The same thing we are repeating. One on each line. And I'm going to cross both ends into the 3rd bead and pull. So we are going to use this weave throughout this pattern throughout the entire weave. This is how it's looking like. This is how it's looking. So we are going to make it long to our own desire. Now that I reach my length that I want, this line 3 bead. So I'm adding 3 bead to that line to turn to the side. It doesn't matter if you are left-handed, you can add it to the right line so you can turn on your side to work with. So this line again, on my right line, I'm adding 3 bead. So I can start my 2nd row. And I'm going to go through this line into the next bead. And I'll be adding 2 bead. Into the next bead. I'm pulling the line into the next bead. This line 2 bead. So this is what we are going to do. Repeat the same thing. Go through the edge bead and add 2 until you come to the end. So here I'm on the last end of this row. I'm going to go through this bead right here. This is how it's looking like, okay? I'm going to go through the last bead. and I'll be adding 2 beads to the same line to turn to the side. Two beads. Now that my line turned to the side again, I'm going to start another row. Okay, so I'm adding 3 beads to this line. Three beads. And I'm going to use this line to go through the next bead. Continue the same way until you make 5 rows. So here I am, I'm on the last end of my row. This is the last end, and what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to weave the rest of the line into the bead and make sure it's well secured enough before I cut it off. So I'm just weaving the rest of the line into the bead. Just weaving my line into the bead. Over here, I'm just weaving the rest of the line into the bead to make sure it's well secured before I trim it off. So I'm just going to weave the rest and cut it off. Okay, here I'm going to go through this bead over here. On this line, 3 beads. Then I'll be going through the next bead. And I'll be adding 2 beads to this line. Two beads. Going through the next bead again, this line into the next bead. And I'll be adding 2 beads to the other line. Into the next bead, and the next, go through the edge bead and add 2 beads. And go round the rectangular shape that we created. You have to go round it. So this is what we are going to repeat. This is what we are going to repeat around this rectangular shape. Go round the shape until you come to complete. So if you come to the corner, just pull your line through the next bead and continue the way you are weaving. It doesn't change anything, just continue the same way you are weaving. Go through the next bead. This one, I'm going to go through this one and add 2 beads. So you're going to continue the same way we are weaving. Okay, now we come to the completion of the first row. So because we have a middle bead over here and a side bead, I'm just going to go through this bead and 1 bead on the side, and all I need to add is 1 bead. 1 bead. This is how it's looking like. So we complete with the first row, and now I'm going to continue with the second row to build on it. So I'm adding 3 beads to this line so I can start my second row on it. 3 beads. I'm going to go through the next row, the next bead, and add 2 beads. Onto the next bead, I'll add 2 beads. So we are going to continue the same way we did for the first row. The same thing, that's what we are going to repeat over here. I'm just continue to weave 2 beads. So this is what we are going to repeat. The same way we weave the first row, we are going to continue the same way over here too, until we reach our desired height of the bag. I'm adding 2 beads to the other line. So continue to weave and build on it high. Okay, now it's complete. This is what I've done to my desired length, desired height. And what I'm going to do, so I'm going to pull my line through this bead over here, and on this line I'm adding 3 beads. And I'm going to go through the next bead, into the next bead, I'll add 2 beads. I'm going to go to the next bead, and add 2 beads. So I'm going to go through all the edge bead, 2 beads. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the edge bead. So continue until you reach the end. Here I end my first row in this bead. I'm going to start my next row over here in this bead and continue to the end. So my line is in the next bead. I'm going to start my next row. So I'm adding 3 beads to this line. Now I'm going to go to the next bead, and I add 2 beads. It's the same weave, okay? 2 beads. Now into the next bead, two beads. This is how it's looking like. So we are going to go and end in this bead right here, this one. Okay, now that I end in that bead, I'm going to start my new line in this bead right here where my line is. So I'm going to leave that bead and start in the new bead and end here. Then after this, I'm going to make one more row on top of it. Okay, now that I complete the rows, it's like a little pyramid shape we created on top of the bag. This is how it's looking like. And this one, we are going to repeat the same thing on this side of the bag too. That's what I'm going to create. The same thing I did over here for the first one, I'm going to create the same thing on the other side. So now that is done, this is how it's looking like. For the rest of the line, I'm just going to whip it back into the bag and make sure it's well secured. So this is how both ends are looking like for the bag. I'm just going to whip the rest of the line into the bead and pull tight and neat. So here's the flap we are going to attach to the bag. The edge of the bag is 5, so I made the flap to have 5 rows. I'm just going to put them together and join them. Join those pieces together. So on my line, I add 1 bead on my line. And I'm going to go through the edge bead, this one. Okay, now I'm going to use 1 pearl to cross both ends of my line into it. Now I'm going through the edge bead, and I'm going to use the other line to go through the edge bead on the flap. And I'm going to use 1 pearl and cross both lines into it. I'm going to go through the edge bead to both edge bead with both lines. This one and the other line, I went through the other side. Then I'm crossing my 2 ends into the bead. These 2, I'm going to pull my line through them. I'm going to cross both ends into this bead. And I'm going to go through the last bead and repeat the same thing. Like this. So I'm just going to weave the rest of the line back into the bead, pull tight and make it nice and neat. So now that I have both ends over here, I'm going to tie. I'm going to tie in between the bead over here. Tie it nice and neat and put the rest of the line through the bead and hide that knot over there. And make sure it's well secure. I'm just weaving the rest of the line into the bead, and this is how it's looking like. Please join the channel membership to know how this bag is completed, so you can have access to detailed video. $1.99 a month for the level 1. I know you can do it. Thank you for your love and support, and I will see you in my next video.